First issue of business is the roll call.
Mr. Coakley, Mr. Bush,
Here.
Mr. Kerrigan,
Here.
Mr. Driver,
Here.
alternate Wilker.
Okay, next issue of business is to elect a new chairman. Do I have any nominations from the members that are present?
I thought you were nominated the last meeting I was at. I wasn't here in January.
No.
No?
They wanted somebody to sit in as an alternate, so since nobody did, I volunteered.
Okay, that's what I thought
I
you
mean,
were
do
there.
either of you, would either of you like, I mean, if nobody wants it, I'll continue to do it.
No.
Okay, would somebody like to nominate me then and second it?
I'll nominate you.
I'll second.
Thank
Have a
you.
vote, Adrian?
Mr. Kerrigan,
Yay. Yes.
Mr. Driver,
Yes.
and Mr. Bush.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for serving.
Okay, the next issue of business are the approval of the minutes from the 4th of January meeting, which are attached to our packet here. The only thing that I would like to see on that personally is that list of 6 items be part of the record itself. How do y'all feel about that? You weren't here, but how do you feel about that, Bill?
Sorry, I was doing some math on this other thing we got to talk about. Could you say it
Okay,
again?
those 6 points that I suggested on the ways to
Yes.
get the public involved, and also the ways that I think we can, streamline what we're doing, I'd like to see those included or incorporated as part of those minutes.
Yeah, I think it'd be good.
Is that a problem, Adrian?
Minutes are action, they're not discussion.
Okay.
But if you want it in there, we'll put it in there.
He says, can it be in as an attachment? I just think it's something there that people can refer back to, rather than, having to look it up. Hey, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So approved. I move that we approve the minutes.
Second,
Second.
vote,
Chair Bush,
yes.
Mr. Kerrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Driver.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm all out of whack on here. It's take me a second to get the order down.
Okay, the first issue of official business is the variance request for the pool on Highway 98. Is the petitioner here? Would you like to address the committee?
Good evening, I'm Nicholas Delalo. I purchased some property here. I have condos.
We can't hear you. Thank you.
Okay, is this on? Okay. I have a couple of properties here at Big Mexico Beach, Lovelace area versus Port St. Joe or where else. We found a lot that we liked. I purchased it and I'm ready to build my house. It's been 2.5 years going through the process. I had architectural, structural, everything. Bo Creel is an inspector for St. Joe as well as Callaway and here. So he's kind of been a little bit in the loop of what I was doing. My engineers and my architects both helped me build my business in Callaway and one of my stores there. So everybody's kind of all involved at one time. When I turned in my plans about a month and a half ago, I was told that I couldn't have a pool in the front yard, which according to that is 204, whatever it says, 20400.
2.04.3.
Yep. Okay. And I guess that they had to show it to the inspector or the building department to get approval. So they put me on hold, and the lady Royce, I think her name is,
Correct.
called me and said that we can't do anything, you have to apply for a variance. So I came right back and I figured out, I talked to him, I talked to Mel, I think it's Adrian, spoke with him. They said, this is what you gotta do. So I applied for the variance. My main issue after reading all of this, but I wanted to get in, they know I was rushing because I thought I'd be starting building my house by now. So what I did is I just said, what do I need to do? So I filled out the application. And my application says, pool for the front yard. I don't believe that that is what I should be asking for. I actually don't think I needed to apply for a variance. my interpretation. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a homeowner that wants to live here. What I read in your, what is this called here? Accessory structures and uses. That's your department, Mel? That's your department, this here?
It's
The
all of ours.
Councils? Okay.
It's everybody's. That's what we go by.
An accessory structure and use is a building, so to speak, but also a pool falls under there? Would that be considered an accessory structure?
In my opinion, the pool would not. It's not a building. You can't attach it to a building.
Okay,
Pools are mentioned specifically farther down, I think, if you look.
they are, but they are under the accessory structures and uses. And it is one of the paragraphs there, as whether it's a building or a swimming pool. My interpretation, again, as his is different than mine. The very first paragraph states that unless otherwise provided, if on the same premises where a building is attached to the principal building, it shall be considered a part thereof and not an accessory building. The way I designed it is actually just like this is here. And the pool is, if you want to say in front of the house, but it's part of, my house is round like that, facing the ocean, and the pool is going to be there, and it is connected. These blocks all connect, so it's almost like one piece. And my argument for that is, there's 3 complexes here that have, whether it's a condo or townhouses, the ones with the raised pools, if you've seen, I think one is called, sorry, one is called, right next to MediaCom, there's a little, maybe 5 or 6 units. They have a raised pool. It's on 98. But it's all part of, when they're poured the concrete, it's all one. The view is another one. It's all one. The parking is underneath, facing 98. Summer house, which I just found out today, same type of concept. I'm not building a 80-unit place, I'm building a house. I picked that spot because there's nothing that ever can be built there. I don't want to be in the backyard, in the pool. I want to be in the front yard seeing the ocean. So that is basically my argument, is that I don't think that I should have had to apply for a variance for that, but it's already in the works. So I guess we can backstep and see how you guys feel about my situation and how we can get it accomplished. If I have to apply for a variance, it's already in, basically. So then I have to go on to my next argument.
I could kind of help with some background here. I think what he's trying to say is that, you know, I've seen these plans and they're gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you.
He has his front door and his driveway access off of Oleander.
Correct.
And so conceivably, you could argue that the front of his house is off Oleander,
Correct.
and that the pool that's right next to 98 is in the backyard, and pools are allowed in the backyard. However, there is a section in 3.01.03A1 states that if the site is adjacent to a major arterial roadway, the front setback for the site will be this portion abutting the arterial roadway in all zoning categories. So because of that, you really can't make a choice to be on Oleander or 98. This tells us it's got to be on the arterial roadway, which is Highway 98. But again, that's my interpretation. It's up to you guys to make that.
Well, for my opinion, I went down and looked at the property. I think I found the lot.
Okay.
And I'm aware of the pool that's in front of the small condo that's just on the other side of the convenience store. Honestly, I'd pretty much forgotten about it until I went down there, because it's just really not that noticeable. But the one that I think would be the most like, you referenced many condos, but there's a home right on Highway 98. It's 404 is the address, and it has a pool in the front. I've always thought it's one of the most attractive homes in Mexico Beach. It's, I think, light green in color.
Yes.
It has a small pool right in the front. It's got a small fence right in front of it. So again, those two examples that I'm aware of, they're just really not all that noticeable. And I consider that one at 404 Highway 98 an attractive structure, so. I personally, I understand some of the language in here, but I don't have a problem with doing what that homeowner's done at 404 Highway 98.
Has anyone seen the plans by chance?
No.
No? Okay. Because I do have copies for everyone if they'd like to see it. One thing that I would like to state is driving, and I do notice 404, and you see the pool, and it's kind of hidden in what it is. My pool is going to start 8 feet in the air. So it's going to look as part of my home, except for, what do they call it? A cable fence that you can see through, which will prevent people from falling out.
Yeah.
But technically, if you drive by, you wouldn't even know it was a pool. And I'm doing rocks, I'm doing all types of things. And if you'd like to see the plan, I have it, it's only one page, just to see aesthetically from the front. And that's basically, I mean, I did consider the Oleander thing. I don't go to a post office and ask for an address change. I don't want to, I want to make it simple. And it's not like I'm setting up a rental home where there's going to be parties and beer cans and screaming, and that's already happened at Toucans, It's my home. So, and it doesn't make it any different for me. I'm just requesting. Well, first I was making my argument, and I guess I have to request it. So if you'd like to see the plans, I'd be more than happy to show them to you.
Mel, while we're talking about 404, was there a variance applied for that pool?
That was before my
That was
time,
like
I do
4
not
years ago.
know.
I think that was built like 4 or 5 years ago.
I think it was a little longer than that, but it's probably been about 10 years. I've been here, I moved back in 2001, and I think it was built about 5 years after that.
Okay. There's also, I don't even know if you're aware, but there's another pool when you're coming this way on 386 in the front yard, like on the 4th house on 98 this way, except it's hidden by a hedge. So there's another house with a pool in the front yard also. And that one was built probably 10 years ago or more.
It seems that in most of these cases, they're just not that noticeable. That's why you're having to explain where they are.
Is that the one that's next, is Lookout Lounge 386?
Yeah, and it's
then
about 4 houses down from
Okay.
that. It's
I
behind the
think
hedge.
I-
You can't see it from the street.
Correct. I think I got an aerial of that as well. But
Okay.
I understand, it's the visibility. I don't know what the issue is of why it's not allowed, but I think that it would be beneficial to allow not just me, but other people. Why is it in there? I realize it's a code and it's in there. Maybe it's something that needs to be looked at
I would like to see your plans.
for other people.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's the structural. And then this is the plans.
Yeah, that's what I want to
Elevated.
look. And that's, you're saying that's the front, is that the Oleander side?
Nope. That's
Okay.
facing- that's facing 98.
All right,
It's confusing.
just checking.
Keep that for the packet.
Here's the elevation.
Yeah, the elevation, this is really.
So if I'm reading this right, on about the 3rd page, the pool is,
You can pass it around, I had one.
Where's the elevation? Usually do.
okay. But it's a fairly small pool, 20 by 12?
It's 12 by 20.
Okay.
It's strictly to jump in the water. It's not for doing laps and having 50 people in there, 3 or 4 friends over.
I mean, that is quite aesthetic and pleasing, the elevation is. I mean, that's- Do you have anything else for us, Mr. Diallo?
I'm sorry?
Do you have anything else for us?
In ways of visual,
Or no, I mean,
For
as
my
far as
argument?
presentation?
pool will be tentatively, it's above ground, will it be will it be gunite or concrete?
It's all concrete,
Okay.
poured concrete, because when
It's
they
not
pour
a
the...
above ground kind of,
No, no, no.
okay,
It's basically when we're pouring concrete like this, continued with the house.
right.
And then we're going to fill this all in with dirt because pilings were just outrageous amounts of money. So basically, the pool's gonna sit on the dirt, which is where all the weight will be, and the edge of the deck is all going to be the pool edge. So it's really all poured at once.
Does anybody from the audience have anything they'd like to say?
Okay, did you let him build his pool? I have several questions.
Sure.
You knew I would. Just out of curiosity, it's interesting that we've got this in the LDR, yet in all of this time that you've been you've been working on this, it didn't come up. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, variances, we have discussed multiple times. Variances for a hardship. It seems to me that it's the property owner's responsibility to know all of the rules and regulations, and the building department's responsibility to make sure that the property owner has the correct information. We run into this constantly, so this is just yet another case. I don't really have a problem with the concept, but think of the can of worms that you could be opening up, because not everybody is going to possibly, if they want to build a pool on 98, are we going to have all these people frolicking along 98, which is going to be interesting. And they might not put a lot of thought into the landscaping of it. And I mean, it's just an interesting conundrum, but again, it goes back to the fact that somewhere along the line, communication has just fallen off. Because it's like the lady who wanted to, last month or December, who wanted to boardwalk her whole backyard because the swale was in the way. Well, that was her responsibility to figure that out beforehand. So somewhere along the line, we've got a major communication problem here.
I was in touch with Bo Creel. My engineers work with the city and my architect. So I already had that huge argument with them because I'm running a business and doing my own thing, but I rely on them. And I've already had that discussion with them, and now I'm in this position where I shouldn't have to be after I spent, which has nothing to do with it, but I thought I was ready to build, basically. So I understand what you're saying, the communication. I trusted other people, and maybe it was my issue, but I hadn't had the problem before.
Yes, and there is a communication problem somewhere along the line, but it's also one more thing that we have to consider here, that we are back here so often doing, of issuing variances for things that are not supposed to be. So either we clear the books and let it be a free-for-all, or we adhere to the rules. I mean, we've gotten ourselves into so many jams. It's just something to consider.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
He's done everything he thought he had to do. And I know there's variance, people aren't gonna be flying in front of pools. I mean, they're gonna be going to the beach and then you come back and relaxing. So I really don't see any issue in allowing this man to have his pool. It's not his fault that city builders and all that didn't say, oh, by the way, you have this that you have to complete. He did everything he knew he had to complete.
Is there a permit issued at all?
I'm sorry?
Is there a permit issued at all? Then there is no building official telling you it's wrong until you have a permit. So the city told them it was all fine. Until a permit's issued, we didn't say anything.
I didn't blame it on the city.
I know you didn't, but the public seems to be blaming the city. And the same goes for the variance request 2 months ago. They come to get a permit, it's not within our LDR, and we tell them they need a variance. It's not that we tell them yes, and then we go backwards.
Like people are given that option when they talk to Royce. Royce will tell them, no, you can't do that. Your only avenue outside of changing your plans is to get a variance. And
You can make any plan you
I
want.
can tell people whether I think it'll pass or not, but it's not my role to say that. So I think we owe it to the petitioners to at least give them, their day in court, shall we say, in front of this commission and the city council.
Ma'am, are you a neighbor or resident of Mexico Beach? I'm just curious.
You mean? I live down the street on 14th between, no, I'm not a neighbor.
Okay, I was just curious.
I live down from the house that has the pool, that's 404.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And I wouldn't know there was a pool until I actually really looked in that place.
Bill, do you have any comment?
Well, it's a gorgeous, incorporation of the pool into the house, there's no question about that. I guess where I'm stuck is, today it's this one, tomorrow it's an in-ground pool with a 5-foot fence around it in the front yard on, pick a street, Georgia, 15th, whatever. So if we approve this, we're kind of opening the door to, well, he got one in his front yard, why can't I have one in my front yard? Well, his was 8 feet high and had the fence and incorporated into the house. Well, my house is already built, so, there's just, it churns up a lot of arguments, which is why it's in the LDR. So that's where I struggle. I think 95% of people driving by wouldn't even know there's a pool there. Totally agree with you on that. I just have a problem that, if it's you today, how do we say no to your next door neighbor who just wants to put one in the ground and not incorporate it into the house, and how do we tell him, well, that's different. This is different. So that's where I'm stuck. One thing, when I looked at the plan, I also went down to the lot, which is very nice. It's actually 2 lots you're combining, right?
Yes. Well, no,
Okay.
they never were split.
Right. And if you look at the survey looking down, just one thought I had is, could you flip the house around? Because at least what we saw was bigger on one side than the other, the front and the back. But could you put it in your side yard, still facing the Gulf, 7.5 feet back from the setback? You'd still have the same view. Granted, the house wouldn't be all the way around it, but you could at least have the view from the pool looking out into the Gulf.
If you want to look at the left and right elevation, if that's what's going to be facing 98, it's going to be a wall with a window, which is facing the 2 neighbors. If I do that to fit a pool,
Well, you go all the way around.
you want me to do a 180?
Yeah, or whatever. There's a way to put it in the side yard, I guess is what I'm saying. You have enough room to put it in the side yard because you've got
I don't
2
believe there
lots.
is. There's 18 feet, and I've used it all up. I have 7.5 on one side and 18 on the other. And then I'm only going to have
And how big your pool?
12 by 20.
Okay, so 20 deep, 18 in the front. You said you have 18 on one side, so you put it diagonally down the side of the house, have this kind of situation to the side, then you're still wrapping around it, and you still have the view out into the Gulf. And, that's just there's another way to do it. And part of what the regulations say is, are we causing harm to you? Is it a harmful situation? Well, if it's a situation that this is the way you'd like it, it isn't a situation that we're saying, if we were to say no, that it causes you harm. It just causes you to not get what you want and the amount of money that you put in to have the plans drawn and all that stuff. So that's all I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
I think if we look at the requirements that are, we have to consider when we look at variances of the 6 things that are important. About the only thing we can argue that is in your favor is 6 because it's so aesthetically pleasing. Everything else, you're getting special privileges nobody else has. It's not in accordance with the LDR, right on down the line. So 1 out of 6, isn't very good. And that's basically what we have to go with. Any further discussion?
So have you guys moved on that you were requesting me for a variance? You're not saying that it's part of the structure? We've bypassed that.
Yes, in my opinion.
Okay.
Any further discussion from the board? Can I have a motion?
Well, as I said, I don't have a problem with it. I understand the can of worms argument, that's always brought up. But apparently a variance was issued for 404 Highway 98.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know that.
Many illegal things were allowed to be built during the real estate boom. Variances just sort of went out the window.
Well, that's an attractive structure to me, as is this one.
I'll make a motion.
I make a motion that we grant a variance.
Second?
Can I ask a question before
Sure.
everybody says? There's supposed to be 5 people here?
Mm-hmm. 5 voting people,
Huh?
5 voters.
Then I need to postpone until there's 5 people here. Because there's only 3, and it's two against 1.
3 is a quorum. We can do business with 3 voting members.
You can?
No less than 3.
There not being a second, there will be no vote on that motion. Do you have a motion? Bill?
I think he's got a great point. It's a big situation to him. You know, I move we defer it or whatever and wait till we've got till the next meeting, till there's some more members here if you'd feel more comfortable with that.
You care to make a second on that?
I'll second that.
Roll call, Adrian.
Chair Bush,
No.
Mr. Kerrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Driver,
Yes.
and that is March 6th.
Okay, we will address this again at the next meeting, the Planning and Zoning Board on the 6th of March. Will you be able to be present?
Yeah, I live here. There's not like in 2 weeks, huh?
Okay, I would appreciate if you bring these back when you
That's
come in
okay.
for the rest of the members.
There's no, it's every month, basically?
Yes.
There's
Normally the first Monday of the month.
another month after week.
And if you will go on the city website, we have a list of the dates that we meet on there.
Uh-huh. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rizal. Okay, the next issue on the agenda is the parking on the empty lots. Mel, that's yours, I believe.
Our city council discussed parking on empty lots for quite some time and decided to defer. I don't have to have it, I've got the originals of the office.
Okay, thank you.
The thing originally started with a citizen parking their trailer on someone else's property, and that brought to light, well, just how many trailers would we allow on people's lots? Because in this particular lot, there was no structure on it, which means it's a temporary use, and you can't have a temporary use with parking trailers. So if you follow that strict interpretation of the LDR, no one can park any trailer in any empty lot in the city. So that is the conundrum we're faced. The city council discussed it and had just a myriad of ideas. Some felt we should allow people to park 2 items in an empty lot, but only if it's next to your property. In other words, a lot of people have their principal home and an extra lot next door to them, and they felt that it was okay to park their trailer in that empty lot even though it didn't have a principal structure because it was part of the homestead. But the problem they were faced with, if someone owns a lot a number of blocks from their home, then is that a good use of the empty lot, parking a trailer on there? Especially if it's not a trailer of the owner of the lot. You know, it could be maybe Mel has a friend with an empty lot somewhere, and Mel parks his trailer there. Well, even though I got permission of the property owner, is that a proper use of that property? And the board felt that that could junk the city up in a hurry if empty lots were allowed to have a lot of trailers parked on them. Of course, the commercial area is a little different, Doc, because that's, could be a possible use, but we're predominantly talking about areas visible from 98 in the residential neck of the woods. So that all being said, we did include a lot of items in the packet for you, which had the actual memo that we used for the city council meeting. We also had on the very last page, one of the last stabs the city council had at changing the LDR to allow some certain things. And you could see there where they were talking about up to 2 personal vehicles, you know, on those lots. And it was at that point that they said, well, this is involved with the LDR, perhaps the plan and zoning should take a kick at it before the city council then takes it up again.
Who drafted this? Did Nick?
The back page,
Yeah, that change.
Nick didn't draft it, nor did I. It was done by one of the city council members.
Has Nick looked at it?
I'm sorry?
Has Nick looked at it?
I don't know if Nick has or not.
Okay. I mean, this, yeah, the way it reads, it makes perfect sense to me, and it seems to be in keeping with the intent of the LDR. So I personally think that it's a good idea, it should be included.
I'm in agreement with that.
Board?
One little nitpicky clarification, but a boat trailer combo, does that count as one vehicle? I would think so.
I would think it would be one.
Okay,
In other words, a boat parked on top of its trailer.
correct.
So what is appropriate here, we've just noted what the council has done, and we feel it's appropriate and in keeping with the LDR, or do we need to make some kind of formal motion?
Are we hearing from the people here?
I'm sorry, ma'am, yes, you have some comment you'd like to make?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Do I need to, can I sit here? Do I need to
If you
come?
give us your name, please, and your
I'm
address.
Lynn Newton. I live at 242 Nanook Road. When I first saw this, the brief summary, enforcement has begun to ensure compliance with our LDR and city code as complaints have risen. We strive to make sure the council agrees with the intent of the code language. So it sounds to me as though some people complained, and now you might change the rules to accommodate some complainers. Is that the way I'm reading it correctly? So you're going to change the rules so that these people who were complaining, who complaints have arisen, complainers.
It really didn't arise because of that, but what happened when we had the incident of the trailer parking on the empty lot and got this ball rolling, it became apparent that there were a lot of empty lots with trailers and boats on them. And so at that point, you know, should we change the rules to reflect reality? Or do we want to go to the trouble of knocking on everyone's door and getting them all mad at us as well?
Well, I'll tell you, if I moved here and spent a lot of money and improved my home, and there was a vacant lot across the street, and somebody came over and just parked a trailer there, I would be very disappointed. And I kind of agree with some of the council members who said, you know, that's kind of a fast way to sort of junk up the place. You know, you've got empty lots with cars parked on them. You've got empty lots with RVs, trailers. I mean, in my opinion, I just think our city is much more worthy of better. Delete the sentence, This does not include trailers and recreational vehicles. I mean, why would we want people just to come to our city and bring their RV or trailer and just park it on an empty lot? Why would we want that? I wouldn't want it. I mean, right now, I have a person on my street who redid the inside of their house. There's a huge trailer parked in front of their house, but it's been there for weeks, and they're finished with the renovation. Plus, there's a dilapidated house across the street from me that's owned by the Catholic Diocese that the city has to maintain. The city comes and cuts the grass. Another neighbor sometimes cuts the grass. So why would I want, I mean, that's a dilapidated house, but it's a real wooden structure. It's not an RV or a trailer, which I think would be worse.
The city did change their rules about parking at the boat ramp to allow more longer-term parking, so that if someone comes in for a week or two from another state, from the north somewhere, then they could park their trailer, in that lot for all the time they're here, which is something we didn't really allow before. So we're hopeful that that will help.
I think what the city's looking to do here is to come up with something which will not deny the property owner reasonable use of his property. To tell a property owner that he can't park something on his property is telling him he can't use the property. I think that's the intent here of the council, is to not deny reasonable use to the property owner.
I understand, but, if you have a vacant lot, surely you're intending to do something with it besides parking an RV there. I mean, how would you like it if somebody just came and parked an RV next door to your house?
Well, this is saying that written permission must be provided prior to placing them on the lot.
Well, it looks to me as though this is going to be written in stone. I mean, I think that the written permission is, let's say Mel owns a lot on my street, and somebody asks Mel, you've got that empty lot. Hey, can I come just park my RV there? And it just so happens to be next door to Lynn Newton's house. And Lynn Newton has worked really, really hard in my yard, in my house. I mean, I wouldn't want to look at a trailer every day. I'm out there working, planting flowers, and oh, there's my lovely neighbor trailer over there. So pretty. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I mean, I didn't mean to take a lot of time, but I just think that instead of lowering the standards for our city and the use of lots here, that we should be raising the standards or keeping them as they are, the way they're written now.
Thank you, Ms. Newton.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else from the audience? Of course.
Of course. You might as well get used to it, Jim.
Lisa Logan, 402 Maryland. I understand property rights. I get it. You own a lot, you want to do whatever you want to do with it. But keep in mind that there are an awful lot of people who have their primary property, and they have a boat, and they have sometimes an RV, and they have the trailer and the truck and the car, and that's all on the primary property. That's an awful lot of stuff there. And if you've got a row of houses that all have that, you've got an awfully crowded street. I know because I have to look at this on my block of Maryland every day. They've got a pontoon boat parked in the front yard, and it just barely fits off the street. It takes up a third of the front yard. They've got a van, a car, an ATV. So we've already got an awful lot of stuff on the residences. And to add to the confusion and the congestion and the visual blight of all of these other things, I was in on all these discussions with the council, and it came out. Somebody needs to open a rental place where you can go park the stuff, like over there by the post office. We need more of those places. We need alternatives. But parking them in residential sections next door to people's houses is not the solution. And I understand that if the lot is attached to your permanent residence, and it's a given, you can do that. But these other vacant lots, we need to find another alternative. And the people who come here and who want to bring their boats, they also have the responsibility of finding out if there's a place to put that boat, which we have run into time and time again. So let's not junk up the residential sections that already have more than their fair share of private property there with the stuff on it. Let's not junk it up anymore with people who don't live there and there's just a vacant lot. So you really need to think not just of the people who own the lot, but the people surrounding them and the people who have a responsibility, who bring those vehicles here and expect I can just park it anywhere because I do it somewhere else. So it's a multi-layered problem, but just saying we can park in a vacant lot is not really the answer.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mel, one question on that. Why are you thinking they'd be eligible to park on a lot that's adjacent to their house? You're saying they combine the two lots and make it one lot and do it that way? I don't understand.
Well, they could go to the appraiser's office and connect the lot
Right.
that way.
But separated as two lots, whether it's next to them or whether it's on 10 streets over, right now, you can't.
Right.
Okay. That's what I thought.
See, this is another issue too that we addressed before, is that there's no specific, anywhere can we find in the comp plan what the intent of the comp plan is. This aesthetic thing, the overcrowding thing is nowhere in here. I guess that's something you interpret for yourself? Good point.
May I just add one more thing? I think that part of the value of our property is important to all of us as homeowners and property owners. And I think that if we change this to appease some complainers, I just think that it's going to affect the value of our properties. It's, you know, like Lisa said, who wants to buy a house that's on a street that's got a bunch of junk all over the place?
Well, I think what you're asking for is not taking the appeasing the complainers out. What you're asking for is that there be no vehicles parked on adjacent open lots without vehicles on it. Isn't that what you're asking?
Or do you not want junky ones?
I don't want junky ones. I don't want trailers and RVs. I mean, basically, that's what it is. So, yeah, I don't
And
want
is-
that.
is
I
your-
mean, there's a mobile home park for that. You know, why can't they go to Rustic Sands or whatever that place is across from the El God? They can park their stuff there, right? They have hookups and everything's ready for them. Why can't they do that?
I wasn't at the council meeting when this was discussed. Were these issues brought up before the council?
I was there, and
Were-
yes.
These were brought up before the
This
council?
was at a workshop. I believe it was a workshop. Because I didn't have to come to the podium.
Yeah, I personally, I mean, after listening to both of you, I think probably we need more comments from the community before we do anything on this thing, because both of you make some very good points.
One of the points I brought up when it was discussed, and I think I was at that same workshop, was just like what Mel was saying. I'm a boater, so I'm prejudiced towards the boaters, but the MBRA Reef Association brings in a couple hundred boats for a tournament. There's a lot of people coming in from out of town, and those are the people that are providing income for our commercial people, and it's gas, and it's oil, and it's bait, and it's all the stuff that we want all of them to buy. So if there's not a way to accommodate them, and by adding the trailers, that certainly helped accommodate them, we tend, you know, we could lose some income in that respect. And I'm with you, you know, I understand, I don't want an RV in my lot, vacant lot next to me either, with somebody coming down there and living there for a week, 3 days, 5 days, and then
Maybe a
leave.
clothesline at the front yard.
There's no hookups and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I
I
understand
specifically,
what you're saying.
at that workshop, I specifically said, you know, I'm not talking about boats and trailers. You know, I've got another neighbor across the street who, it doesn't offend me at all. I mean, this is a boating community. of course they're gonna have boats and trailers. So, I mean, I'm not saying boats and trailers are tacky. I'm just saying trailers and mobile homes and RVs. So that's all I'm saying. I don't know, you know.
How about ATVs?
You know, I don't know. I haven't ridden down Lisa's street, so.
You can't get down the street for all the stuff that's parked.
Okay.
I'm sure I go down your street.
I mean, we're not an ATV community like some in the mountains would be, but that's a recreational vehicle just like a boat is.
It's not
I mean, so you're saying that if a person owns an RV and they want to park it in the home, you don't want to see it there?
me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we're a boating community and that you tend in a boating community to see boats and trailers parked. My neighbor has 2 lots, so his boat and trailer is parked next to his house on his additional lot.
It's not the fact that when you live there and you've got the room and you have the permission to do it, because that's where you live. I get that. But it's when you have the vacant lots, and they don't belong to you, or they might belong to you, or they might belong to your good buddy Joe, and you just come and you park it in the middle of a residential section, because I'm talking about residential sections, I'm not talking like up Kathy.
Me too.
Yeah, well, that's basically what this reads, is
Yeah.
residential.
So,
Right.
you're in the middle of a residential section, and you've got house, vacant lot, house. And then in the vacant lots, you've got boats on trailers. And they're just sitting there. It's rare that they're kept clean, it's rare that the grass is cut unless they get a citation. And you just have this boat in the middle of a lot. I feel that you should be able to put your boat somewhere else, like a storage lot, just like I'm saying again, like by the post office. There's got to be a way that those types of facilities can be incorporated into this town. Yes, we're a boating community. Yes, there are an awful lot of boats and trailers. But the city has never made an effort to provide that type of facility, whether it's private enterprise or city-owned. So just saying, okay, we're not gonna fool with this, just come park wherever you want to. We did have that, especially along Florida, especially along Georgia and Maryland, and they finally got them cleaned up, and it looks better. But we'll go back to that if that's what this boils down to. I know that people boat around here, but if you don't have a proper storage facility for your boat, you should think about that before you bring your boat here. That's what I'm saying.
I just want it to look nice. I just want it to be a pretty place where things look nice, where things are well kept, that, you know, I just think so much of our city.
So are you looking then at no storage on vacant lots? No vehicles? Except boats?
Well, it's a fishing town, so,
Well, how would you define that? I mean, you can't park anything but a boat on a lot? It just,
I understand,
I don't know, it just gets so
But
complicated.
then it goes back to the economy of the city, when we do have tournaments, when we do have people coming in and spending money with our merchants, do you really wanna, I mean, I guess they could pay for long-term, do we have that option now, at the voting rent, long-term?
We did make a new parking lot in the very rear of what's out there now, and you can park your boat trailers longer term,
But it only holds how many? 55, something like that?
give or take, yeah.
Well, I don't know how many of y'all were at the multiple workshops and we went round and round and round, the council went round and round on this very same issue.
So it's been debated and debated and debated, and they didn't come up with anything, so they kicked it to y'all and said, it should start with P and Z. So it's now in your court to see if you can come up with some solution. I think personally, the city ought to invest or get a grant to invest and purchase some property that's still zoned commercial on 15th Street and open a city-owned parking lot. Boat parking thing.
Could you park RTVs there? Is that what they're called, RTVs?
ATVs, you mean?
ATVs, yes, okay. Maybe you could store your ATV there too. Might be a money maker.
It could be. You know, the source of revenue
Yeah,
of
but
the
there's
city.
some people that buy stuff that want to keep an eye on it, not way out in the middle of nowhere, so somebody can come by and guess what? Your precious RTV or your boat's no longer there because somebody hooked up and,
Well, it would have to be a secure facility if you pursue that route.
Yeah, to me, it would be extremely difficult to just limit and say boats only. I mean, you either have to eliminate all of it or allow it all. It's one or the other. And then again, that's something that I would like to hear more from the community on, what the community's position is on that. Guys?
Mel, have you gotten any input from residents that have boat storage when they were told it might need to go away, or RV or ATV or whatever? I mean, what's the,
There is no one underlying opinion. Everybody's got different situations, and so some want no parking at all, others want as many as you can get. So it's all over the map, and that's why the council had such a
Yeah.
rough time with it.
I understand, I understand.
And that's why when I read this as I prepared, I was generally comfortable with the language that was in here. It was not, this doesn't say that they can park as many as they want on a lot. And
It's
it doesn't-
restricted to 2.
It's restricted to 2, and it doesn't say that you can leave old, dilapidated, junky vehicles. It really gives, it gives permission, it's subject to inspection by code enforcement and police, and renting storage on the space. It didn't sound like it was a long-term alternative to, hey, I just don't want to park in one of those places, so I'll go ask this guy if he'll take $40 a month instead. It was, renting storage on these lots is not allowed, no commercial vehicles. They must be serviceable, operational, and have current vehicle registration, and that's easy to check. And so if you have those things, it probably is not an old, dilapidated boat. And I hope in many ways we're a tourist community, and I hope we're accommodating to tourists. Because I don't know what the similar laws would be in Gulf County or Franklin County on St. George Island, what they deal with in Panama City, but I would conclude we probably would want some more public input.
I think Port St. Joe, I've read, has some lots that it's okay to put RVs on and some not, which I never could quite understand. But, so they could be a mixed bag down there. And that was specifically RVs, which brought up the issue.
I agree, I think we need more public input, but I don't know where it appears that we've gotten sufficient public input, nobody can just agree on it. So somebody somewhere along the line has to make a decision. So they want us to start it off and then kick it up to them after we come up with a solution, is that what it appears
You
to be?
can kick it back in any manner you seem fit. You know, if you want to kick it back and say that the language on the back page is sufficient, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to kick it back by saying this includes boat trailers, not RVs, just whatever you think's appropriate.
Again, personally, I don't think you can just limit it to one type of recreational vehicle. You either have to include it all or include nothing. And I think what we've got here is sufficient.
But one thing has to be clear, if you park an RV in an empty lot, it's just parking the RV there, no
Not
one can
living.
stay there, not even one night.
Without your permission.
There are extenuating circumstances occasionally, but I wouldn't,
Somebody we're talking about not living in the RV as opposed to unoccupied. Utility trailers maybe change paragraph 3A to unoccupied recreational vehicles. Somebody's not living in it, would that make any difference? Somebody just come pull in, park an RV and run an electric cable somewhere else?
Well, there was a lot on 19th that sold, and shortly after that, they pulled up this, it wasn't like a self-contained, like an Airstream or something, or it was, no, you have to tow it. It was a vehicle that had, an RV that had to be towed by a big truck. And so they just backed in this RV, well, I don't know, it's like
Yeah.
a mobile home.
It's a fifth wheel, it's almost across the city hall.
Yeah, and then you take it, and you leave the truck, goes away, and it just sat there. And nobody was living in it, but it was still an eyesore. That's why they have rustic sands, right? And the El Gov.
Yeah, I just don't think we're gonna get a solution that is gonna make everybody happy. And, you know, the LDR is supposed to be a living document. If something doesn't work, you change it. And that's what they're trying to do right here. So, I mean, I feel this is probably the best we can do, given all the input and the discussion that we've had thus far. My only caveat would be to change paragraph 3A to owners recreational vehicle, add unoccupied recreational vehicles. And just let it go forward this and see if it works. If it doesn't, then we'll look at it again.
Unoccupied.
Right, I'm in agreement with that.
So,
So I just need to write to a lot of council members and
yeah, I think this is something that we need to bring up to the public, and if we can get more public support, then it's something that I think can be changed in the future.
okay.
But obviously, we've had a problem, the council's trying to address it. This is the best they could come up with, so let's see if this works, and if it doesn't, then we'll go back to the drawing board. So, do you want me to make a motion that, is that appropriate to go now?
Sure.
Go. Okay, I'd make a motion that, given the a proposed change to LDR 2.02-2, paragraph 1, we approve what the council has done thus far, with the exception of inserting unoccupied recreational vehicles in paragraph 3 sub A. Is that sufficient, or do you need me to restate that? Adrian?
I'm taking a stab at it.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
What was the addition?
Unoccupied, add unoccupied recreational vehicles instead of just recreational vehicles.
And that's in which part?
3A.
3A.
Second line, right in the middle.
Call vote.
Chair Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Driver?
No.
Next issue, other various and sundry items.
That's there in place of a miscellaneous, is what it is. I guess next month's meeting, we'll have Mr. Lalo back, hopefully more of us in tow here. There's a good chance that Malerba's subdivision, just north of Paradise Shores on 8th Street, they have had their review by our independent consultant. There has been numerous changes in the plans, and we think it may be able to come back to you folks as a commercial development order, because that lot there is zone commercial. We'll see if that comes. We'll let you know.
Audience have anything they'd like to bring up or talk about?
Mel, for that Malerba thing, I thought that, are we talking about where they were going to build the little residential houses?
That is correct.
I thought that was residential low density,
I'm sorry, you are correct.
because you just said commercial.
I said commercial. Just slapped me upside the head.
Consider yourself slack.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm glad I'm sitting back here now.
That's right, you gotta keep me honest, I appreciate
So
that.
it is residential, low density. Okay.
I think as much as I can remember the map, and
They just changed the plans, basically. what you're
they changed the plan to comply with everything, right?
I've
How
got
about
it.
when it comes?
How many units do we know?
I haven't seen the final plan.
There was, what, 66 before or something?
Oh,
No, no, it's
no,
11.
there were like 11, something like that.
The 64 before was the,
Farmdale.
yeah,
All right, one question I have. Did we postpone the variance at his request or because we need more information? Because I need to know who to bill the $50 for the mailing I have to do again. Is the city paying the mailing for the second variance request, or do I need to bill the owner at
He made the
6014?
request.
Okay,
well,
He did.
all right. That's all I wanted to clarify before we moved on to that.
But you could also argue it was our fault we didn't have 5 members here either.
yeah. Because we were kind of the ones that said, we'll wait until we have more people. So we kind of delayed it.
Okay.
No, he brought it up. He said,
You agreed with him, but he was the
Yeah.
one that brought the issue.
Right.
Said, where's
Right.
5? So either way.
Two of you agreed.
I'll figure it out.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.